All right, hello, fellow globalers. It is time to take a look at Sylvie. Thanks to Wotv as always, for getting the data up to make this possible, and a little bit more accurate in terms of just numbers and percentages. You know, the Wotv guys, just fantastic, absolutely. But hey, as a little bit of a bonus for my global fan base, such as they are, and the JP players too, I wanted to show off a couple of things about Yuffie first, because it's going to be a little bit, at least a few more days before I do another specific video on Yuffie. But I wanted to show off a couple of things. First of all, her on-screen animation is probably one of my favorite in the entire game. She has some absolutely amazing voice work, which is totally fun, because he taunts the enemy and everything like that. But yeah, he just kind of wanders around the home screen, which is great. And check out busy. He's busy. It's fine. We'll wait till Yuffie comes back, and then we'll just get a little look at her animations. And the reason that I'm also bringing up Yuffie is because Pechon has been doing some testing on the JB side, figuring out how good she actually is, and I wanted to show off the team that he's been using. This team won against Mono Water, with the change out of one of the characters towards Mont. It also won against multiple different elemental teams, including Mono Earth, including Frederica's sister-in-law. I just can't remember the name at the moment. As well as Queen Macherie, and also won against Mono Wind. So Mono Evasion Fire. It might be a thing. And here are the two teams that Pechon was using, and yeah, you're going to note some pretty heavy stackings in terms of vision cards and espers required to make this team really, really work. I mean, I still think that you can probably get away with it just with certain vision cards on other elemental characters, potentially. But the Pizarro card, Dark Ifrit, Dark Tetra, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. But yeah, this team was pretty great against almost everything that it fought up against. Had a few losses, but I thought some people would be interested in taking a peek at this, and I will be trying it a little more into the week, except I don't have Pizarro, so I'm going to have to do something, I guess, a little different. So yeah, but there you go. Next up, I guess it's time to talk about Sylvie. Sylvie from a JP perspective, and this isn't a review, because obviously I haven't tested the friend unit. I don't know what her heals look like. I can see the mods and everything, but if there's anything like vision card combination and everything like that, then that can make a difference into a unit's performance. But just from a JP perspective, from the point of the 3rd anniversary, what I think about the character, the vision card, and everything else. So let's just jump over to Wotv because that's the best source I have as a JP player. Sylvie Sword can be equipped by a bunch of different stuff. Looks like it has some exclusive improvements, including healing power and accuracy for certain jobs. And magic of 30%. It has 177 magic. It's a fine piece of equipment. I'm not over the moon about it, but I'm also thinking it's pretty damn solid. Moving on. Next up, a Party for All. Now this vision card, 152 magic, 5 spirit, 305. Now it is a job-based one, and you can see the jobs listed here. It does have some good synergy, but really what we're looking at is the big thing is the human killer on magic attacks. And there are a couple of units that will more than likely benefit. Like some people who have said that it is looking like a very strong, just light elemental vision card. I kind of agree. I mean, yeah, I mean, between Sylvie, God, just, I just totally blanked on the unit. I even have her, and I've said her name so many times. Elena. Oh my God, Starlet Elena. And Jaden. I mean, there's an interesting combination. I don't know if that team is good enough to really, and synergistic enough, because you're essentially looking at kind of a brawler with hate down on her TMR, which is not going to protect Elena per se, and Jaden, who's not really an evasion character. So does the synergy really match? I mean, magic attack is there and getting a bonus. Critical rate is generally good across all the characters here, but I just don't quite know if the vision card is probably just going to be solid long term, especially as we get more and more characters. But I'm not, again, I feel like this is pretty good. JP has had some also good human killer on magic attack vision cards, so I'm fine with it. I mean, it seems like almost like a faux light card that can be used in multiple different elements, but it doesn't feel as successful in the other elements. So I feel like mostly light users are going to really benefit from this, at least in the near future. All right, and let's talk about Sylvie now. Now, accessory, magic up accessory, accuracy up, Sylvie bunny hairpin. Now, it does have decreased hate. Not really what you want for Sylvie, because it feels like you want her to be attacked. But maybe you're putting this on a different elemental mage, and in that case, it's actually pretty good. I mean, like, I would actually be okay with having the bunny-loving lass, just for someone like Resnick, to give her even more hate down, potentially even more magic up, or on another mage that is just more durable. I can see the potential of this on other characters, but not on her. 100 costs, not limited, light elemental, white mage, and blade soul. Guess we'll talk about that more. Cloth and accessory is fine, but if you were looking at her as a kind of more brawly paladin-like character, I would have liked to maybe have seen armor, but okay. And master ability, the decrease in skill activation time is really big, and AoE resistance is pretty nice. Looking at her resistances, I mean, blind and slow, not really what I'm scared of at all. So I feel like her status element resistance are just like, eh. Oh wait, it's stop. I always get those two confused. They're right next to each other. Stop is better, but let's be honest. Charm and Berserk, Frostbite are the ones that feel more common. And also Confusion. Confusion also would be kind of scary with this girl if she started to turn on you. So yeah, I don't particularly like her status resistance in terms of her damage resistance. Slash isn't great. I'm not happy to see that with Sephiroth being in the future. He's already weak to dark, so that's a little bit scary. Piercing is fine. Shooting is great. Magic is okay, and strike I'm not really worried about too terribly much, but I'm also not really overly excited. Long story short, her resistances are fine as of just like looking at what her base are, but I can see some weak points that are going to be scary for her in the future and potentially might get her killed. Now, I did get this from Diggs' stream. Now, this was equipped onto a Earth Elemental party, I do believe. About 6,000 HP, 1,500 magic, 34 defense, 32 spirit, and 88 agility. That agility would be a little bit better. Luck is actually kind of interesting too. But the defense and spirit is pretty high, and that kind of is just, she's basically, with the equipment she has, kind of like a soft tank, and that's good. That's good. Looking at her support, Marion's Blessing, which does get improved. We're looking at slash resistance penetration of 40. Does look like her attacks are a mix of slash and magic? No, that's just the... Yeah, she should be a primary slash, especially with Blade Soul, so that's good to get there. That is the defense and spirit increase that's definitely pushing her stats higher, and her magic buff. She has Nullified Doom, which is a thing. Sephiroth does have it, so it is a thing. And Spirit Penetration and Agility is probably the one you're going to be running as well, but you could run her as being more defensive. Just depends if she can keep up. Counter ability is pretty good, having a chance to counter physical damage with an actual AoE heal in the same way that Aerith does. Now, the AoE pattern I like here. It doesn't feel like the biggest heal, and I'm also incredibly concerned about the physical damage thing. Doesn't feel like it's going to be all that good. If you look at Regenerator, I don't think that's necessarily the one unless she stacks just a massive amount of HP when she's fully built in a proper team and everything. So I'm guessing that the counter heal is generally better, but the fact that it doesn't protect against magic at all, and there are still some really good magic teams currently on JP, I don't really like Prayer of Protection that much, just because of that simple fact. Alright, Limit Burst does have the heal, does grant a 50% barrier for a single attack, so it does help for survival a considerable amount, and a good well-timed heal can be the difference. Being that she has a pretty big mod on here is good, and it's a big AoE, so everything is that nice there, but the 69 AP cost is a little expensive, and granting auto restore of only 5%. Looking again at what we saw for her stats, 227 AP isn't bad with a 5%, but it's also not great. So I'm not over the moon, but this initial 69 AP cost feels pretty expensive. Looking at Blade Soul, her getting a HP barrier, we've seen this being good, but it is against magic damage. Can decrease bravery, dispel buffs, reduce attack and magic, increase slash and critical rate. Blade Soul feels like a nice DPS option for her and feels pretty good in line what she wants to do. White Mage has a Suna cure. Most importantly is just full life. Full life is pretty big. Has a rise in her main kit essentially. So having access to that and that. But now that okay, well, I'll save my final thoughts for later. Final thoughts. Main job. What you're giving up for her sub jobs, the increase magic by 40% and heal for allies, and decrease healing power for target. I think that these are, I think every time you want to just get rid of these and just go straight for White Mage or Blade Soul. Either you're getting full life and just raise as well, or you're just getting better DPS options. So I think Blade Soul or White Mage is an easy trade-off for this. In the main part of her kit, we get an idea of exactly what she's supposed to be, and it is like a DPS with support as well as some healing capability. Tearful Paladin Strike, 121 mod, decent range, looks about standard for what a unit would have nowadays. Bunny Protection, which has the auto revive, does have 2 uses, so good in multiple if she doesn't just auto cast it immediately every time. Depends on what the AI wants to do. May not be as strong in Guild War or something. If she blows both on the first round and then has nothing for the second round, then not the greatest of value. Also grant Shell. Next, I've Got Your Back dispels all buffs for self and deals a 200% or debuffs for self and a 200% mod. Pretty strong, lesser range, but okay. I'll Protect Everyone is the upgrade to it. Again, dispelling a lot of things off of it. Haste for target, dispel physical damage and magic damage, as well as all debuffs for self and all buffs for the target. So it's a big cleanse, which is going to be really useful. It is single target though, so not going to be really good if there's just a good tank there with a lot of, not necessarily worrying about damage increases on a tank, haste on a tank, or really too many buffs on a tank. It might not be as impactful as it might seem. Prayer of Resolute Oaths, looking at defense and spirit by 25. That's a big amount of defense and spirit, and the debuff resistance makes her pretty good. It is for allies, and it does have a short range. So I'm curious about her AI's priority of re-raise over Prayer of Resolute Oaths, and whether or not she'll even get it off potentially before the fight starts. She might just re-raise twice and then never get to use this ability, in which case, auto-wise, she may be less than perfect. Looking at Clever Paladin Strike, dispel auto-revive for targets. Damage, 165 mod, tends to inflict slow. Big AoE on this thing, so that's pretty good. I don't think she'll be an absolutely amazing farmer. I mean, maybe for more dicey farms where it's like, oh no, there's some DPS that happens and I need someone to heal every so often. then that might be a little bit of a problem. Dispel Auto Revive, though, really depends on if her DPS actually gets there enough for Auto Revive to happen, and it depends on the matchups. Again, Sadali and the Wind matchup, potentially, is the one where I think Auto Revive definitely comes into play, and it just depends if she can kill a unit with a barrier or not. Last but not least, her job level 25. AoE 200% mod, decreased defense penetration by 30 for 3 turns per target. Okay, alright, seems fine. Keeping her and potentially others alive. If she has the defense resistance and spirit debuff, like the defense and spirit debuff resistance of 100%, this ability doesn't seem that important because you're already immune to defense penetration anyway, so decrease on an ally just doesn't feel that well. So let me talk about general concerns from a JP perspective. First off, I don't know when Sylvie is going to get her access into reincarnation. So she's less than 2 months, or Global is about less than 2 months away from its 3rd anniversary, give or take a bit. And she's kind of near the end. Same with the future Shadow Links that Global will also be getting. In which case, they may not have access to the Dream Resistance for a while, which could hurt their performance against other units that will be getting this. So that is a concern for people to think about. Second of all, a concern just looking at her kit is I feel really split on this. Like, unlike a lot of the times where it's like, oh, just a general barrier against everything, right? Or this unit is very specifically an evade unit, or this unit is very specific anti-physical unit, or anti-magical unit. This unit does have ways of doing both, but can't really do both at the same time, you know? Like, her Blade Soul will give her a little bit more anti-magic, where her main kit feels anti-physical, but, you know, if the wrong attacks hit her at the wrong times, then you're not getting potentially her counter to work, her barrier might not work, her Blade Soul barrier doesn't even work against Sephiroth, which is a major concern, as Sephiroth can remove a lot of the re-rays that she's going to spend a lot of time. And that brings me to her AI too, without any way of testing it. And please drop the notes in the comments and I will look at them. I'm really, really concerned about the idea that her AI will derp kind of hard and just waste her auto revives in terms of like multi-guild war battles, or just may not even get a chance to cast Prayer of Resolute Oaths, which seems like a big benefit, but has such a short range on it. Here's like my overall impression is this. I think that Sylvie is a strong character. I think that her stats and performance does look really good. But boy, am I not seeing anything that's really exciting. Because, you know, as a DPS, she has no barrier removal. She doesn't really have any chaining, which doesn't make her good for certain, you know, event style things. She's missing certain things here and there that really just make me feel super confident in saying that, yeah, she's worth going to pity. And the other thing is if she's not limited anyway, well, then what's the rush? I mean, aside for initial shards. I mean, there's a bunch of Black Friday deals going on, so that might be something that people will, you know, feel a little bit more generous. But I actually feel like saving the Black Friday, like buying the Black Friday stuff if you're going to, and holding on to it for stuff in the future is probably just better here. Sylvie's not a bad character, and she'll probably end up being a influential light elemental character. That and her vision card. But I'm, at the end of the day, if you were just talking about me recommending a unit, I just say not really here. Strong character, no doubt, but as a JP player sitting where I am right now, this is not really getting me excited at all. If she came out on JP tomorrow, I'd just pass 100%. And potentially just get her on a free pull later. And that'd be cool. It worked with me for Abara. But yeah, Thunder Magic looks just stronger than Light Magic at the moment. Leave your comments below about what you think about Sylvie. And now, the second part of the video, which this video is running a bit long, but we're still just going to go for it. So, Global has a UOC select banner right now. And some people have said, hey Umbra, what's your opinion on this? So I'm guessing they want to know what I recommend for vision cards and characters if you're going to be spending money on that type of banner. Well, dear viewer, that's what this video is. Also, I mean, we took a look at Yuffie, Sylvie, and now this. So, assuming that the Warrior of Crystals are not on the banner, the top 3 characters that I would say overall, not based on any elemental build of your account, based on a lot of characters that have come out over the entire year, I'm going to recommend, of course, a bunch of 100 cost characters, because of course you are. The ones I'm going to recommend are Sadali, Flag Glassy, or Alaya. Those are my top 3 overall units that I would currently say are the best select a unit possibilities for 100 cost characters. Now, if you're out there and potentially you've overlooked some 90 cost characters, there's one character I'm really gonna say give just as a video maker's recommendation, which is Resnick. Resnick is a 90 cost character. Boy, I never would have imagined she would have had as much staying power as she does, but she really is insane. If you haven't picked this character up and you have every other character in the game, then maybe use the UOC to get this. It goes a long way to making the Skahal plan that JP currently has work exceedingly well. Even Skahal, people have asked if Skahal was a mistake by the producer, by like top players to the producer, since that combination with Resnick is so strong. But if I'm just going to say, yeah, Flag Glassy is an easy recommendation, so is Sadali. If we were just going across multiple elements with one character for each element, Fire, I guess, for Global would be Valentine Eldyra, because she has good synergy in the future with Yuffie. Ice is Alaya, because you can't get Barris or Snow. Next up, Flag Glassy or Sadali. I'm going to say Flag Glassy because she's almost a tank, basically, on JP right now. She's just so insanely good. She's one of, if not just the best character in the entire game. Get her. I would recommend her over Sadali, but that's because sometimes Charm fails. And Revive is kind of dubious at the moment on JP. For Earth Element, I'll say Queen Mashery, but I'll also give a slight recommendation to this girl. She is a 90 cost, but she has a pretty good TMR, and her performance continues to impress me. Getting very close to getting her to 99 myself, but yeah, she's second recommendation for Earth. As for Lightning, I mean, Resnick, but jokes aside, Skahal with his MA2 upgrade in the future is just pretty insane. I guess Ibarra for being a 100 cost unit, but Lightning, if only. As for the water element, tough to say. At the moment, there just isn't anything really worth recommending overly stressing out about in water. I guess if anyone, Chunak, potentially for the water evasion dreams, but into the future, Amneris with Water Mage, but most of the best water characters are limited right now, so moving on. Next up is Light. Light, just taking a look across the entire field here. Don't really know who I overly recommend. I mean, I guess if Esther isn't Lightning, sure. Digimac to Light, Sylvie? No, she is not on the UOC. I don't really, I guess if Starlit Elena has become non-limited, then she's the one, because I don't really have a good idea into Light. And into Dark, Majin Fina, definitely, 100%, she's the Dark character I would recommend. If you have her, then maybe Brave Blade Leela, but yeah, Majin Fina is probably one of the more dark elemental characters. But hey, check out the other video about why Whisper is potentially good too. So anyway, there you go. That's everything. That's the entire whole bunch of content in a single video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you later.